realized I have to get bigger. And we ended up, after a bunch of research, I did a 10-to-1 exchange into a 24 unit in Ohio. Kind of like amazing how you sell one house in San Diego and you
buy a 24 unit. Yeah.
Else,
mind-boggling. And that was, a huge experience for me to fully get on board and understanding, I did all of the walkthroughs of all 24 units with Nick and, we got to see the ins and outs of, this is a C-class property that we bought. Right. It's very blue collar. It's in Ohio. And it was our first multifamily asset.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Passive Road to Retirement podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Jarrett. Today, we're joined by Nick and Jamie Cooper. Nick saw the power of cash flowing assets with his single-family rentals, but was ready to scale. He sold his remaining single family in San Diego and got Jamie on board to reinvest in real estate on a larger scale. Today, they purchased a 24-unit apartment complex in Ohio to create passive income. In the first year, they optimized systems and as a result, doubled the property's value. They saw firsthand the power of multifamily real estate investing as an opportunity to create passive income and build wealth for their family. Nick brings a pilot's precision and analytical mind to multifamily real estate with over 22 years as a military helicopter pilot. Jamie delivers an unwavering resolve towards producing results and an innate ability to build relationships with a decade in medical sales. Jamie and Nick saw that their skills would be the perfect fit for multifamily real estate investing. Nick and Jamie, welcome to the show. It's great to have you guys on here.
Andy, thanks, my friend.
Thank you. We are so excited.
Excited to have you guys on. So why don't maybe if you guys can each give a little bit more, detailed background and how you got into multifamily as well.
Yes, we would love to. Well, do you want to go first?
You can go first.
Well, I feel like I got into it because of Nick. So we, when we first started dating, Nick had some single family rentals here in San Diego where we currently live. Mm-hmm. And he was a helicopter pilot, like you were just saying, in the Navy. And I had kind of the mindset of, okay, well, I'm saving up to buy a house. And he was like, oh, awesome. So once you buy a house, then what? And my mindset was, what do you mean, then what?
Right.
It hadn't really dawned on me that, there's people out there like yourself, like Nick, like many people that, are looking at homes and buying property as assets, not liabilities. And as you know, and, many people have found out that having a home is great, but it is a liability. It's an emotional buy. Your money is not making you money.
Mm-hmm.
And I had, that was a very new concept to me when we met. And Nick was very patient and kind of slowly gave me books and podcasts and started
slow drip.
Yeah, started slowly kind of feeding those little nuggets to me and giving me resources to educate myself.
Mm-hmm.
And in doing so, I totally shifted my mindset. And it, I think, further shifted Nick's, where he was like, okay, I'm ready to sell off the last of the single family rentals in San Diego.
Yeah.
And I want to get in multifamily.
And you thought I was crazy.
I totally thought he was crazy.
Yeah.
And even though I was like, okay, he's someone who is very, he does a lot of research before he makes the move. And so even him saying that, I knew, he's someone who is big in the numbers and will, to an exhaustive amount, do research before he makes the decision and jumps in. So the fact that he was saying something like, let's take all of our, money out of California and invest it out of state in multifamily, I thought it was a little bit crazy.
You're like, you must have done his research.
Yeah,
right?
I guess take over on how that happened.
Yeah, so I did, I've had in the military kind of my default, as you move, you acquire a rental if you buy a house. So pretty much at the end of 15 years, I had a couple rentals, and I did the math real quick one time, and I was making like $100 a month, and I had all this debt equity just sitting there. I was like, man, this is not even a business. So
right.
Did some quick research. I looked online, reached out, read some books, and then decided within about a week that I was selling my single family rental that I had.
Well, decided to try and pitch me on the idea, which was probably like the biggest, I would say, hurdle. Mm-hmm. Because if you own in California, people are like, you've made it,
right.
You have a home. Like, you have made it. You are the American dream times 10 if you own in California.
Yeah.
And he owned a home and he's like, yeah, but do you want to live in this home forever? It's not our dream home.
Right.
And he was right. It wasn't, at that time he was a bachelor, and when we had met and renting the home out as a rental, it wasn't somewhere either of us saw ourselves living.
No.
So it's like the ego versus what's the best use of your capital. And it was very clear on that front alone.
I think just touching on what Jamie said is that it made you feel good that you had this property here in San Diego. That didn't make any money. It felt good.
Yeah.
So I just did the really quick math and realized I have to get bigger. And we ended up, after a bunch of research, I did a 10-to-1 exchange into a 24 unit in Ohio. Kind of amazing how you sell one house in San Diego and
you buy a 24 unit. Yeah.
Mind-boggling. And that was, a huge experience for me to fully get on board and understanding, I did all of the walkthroughs of all 24 units with Nick, and, we got to see the ins and outs of, this is a C-class property that we bought. Right. It's very blue collar. It's in Ohio, and it was our first multifamily asset. And it was also just such an eye-opening experience to, go from thinking I was going to put my capital towards one home in San Diego to then expanding that to be like, wow, we can buy 24 units for, very close to the same price and be cash flowing every month, not $100 like he was, but thousands, which is just such a novel idea to someone who grew up with the mindset of you go to college, you got a good job, you have your 401k, your insurance, all of the things that, the typical mindset and typical teachings teach you are success. And that's so far from really what success is. And
exactly.
That was such a shift. And I'm so grateful that I did meet him at a time where I was able to hear that and open to, learning more about a different mindset than what we're, traditionally taught.
So on your 24 unit, did you like it better because you can kind of control your appreciation versus, it's NOI versus the house next door that sold for this amount?
Yeah, I think that you look at single family, what it is my values turned by hey, the person across the street bought this house, now your house is worth this. Whereas in multifamily, it's pretty much turned by it's a business. It's valued as a business. So your NOI, your net operating income, what it makes is the value.
Mm-hmm.
So and things like that you can call forced appreciation, which you can, increase rents, reduce expenses, and it becomes more valuable in that way. So to give you an idea, when we first bought the 24 unit, rents were about, 430, 420 or so. And we increased it to close to 700. And that increased the value by over $1 million.
Yeah. What'd you guys do for the value add? Just go in, change out countertops, stuff like that? Or what'd you guys do?
Pretty much just in place. So as people left, we pretty much just did a light turn and maybe a couple improvements here, but not much at all.
It's in pretty good shape overall. And it's a cool model in the sense that it's a bunch of duplexes. So that makes it, I would say we like that in the sense that if you have to replace a roof or you have to replace, certain things, they're on 2 units rather than a massive building.
Right. Yeah.
Regular properties.
That's true. So $1 million in a year compared to California, that's amazing.
It was about 2 years. So we just did a cash refi of that. So, and then it ended up being as many people do, you buy the property with a local community bank. So it's usually a bit of a higher interest rate and a shorter term. So we went from mid fours, 4.5 rate, 20-year term to a 30-year and a high of a 3.8 term or rate. So that's and that was able to make us cash flow pretty much what we're making before that and pull out the capital.
Nice. Could you maybe go into a little more detail on the loan, how you structured it? I'm assuming it was probably a bridge loan, right?
It was a community loan at first, or community bank loan. So local banker. And then that moved on to a Freddie small balance loan, which we call agency debt. So that's long-term secured rate. So 10-year term. And they also gave us interest only for 3 years, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's incredible. Nice.
And the other one before was not interest only.
Okay. All right, cool. Now, how do you think your background as a helicopter pilot, Nick, helps you in multifamily now?
I think like Jamie said, is that you pretty much know you do all the, all the pre-planning, all the stuff for your mission, you get everything kind of set out, and then like, all right, we're going, but you got to make sure you're all set or you don't go. So a lot of missions we canceled just because we didn't have all the information and we didn't have all the requirements, and we canceled.
Or the weather.
Or the weather, all that stuff. So with this one, it's like, when you know, and you go for it.
Yeah. Just like the underwriting, something doesn't work out, just kill it, right?
Yeah. I think makes me very deliberate. What's made me.
He's very deliberate. Definitely everything he does, I'm kind of like fly by the seat of my pants. Everything he does is with intention and a lot of thought and process. And I think that's why we're, a good team. And I think when you're, trusting tens of thousands of dollars with someone, you want the person in the driver's seat, or in this case, the helicopter seat to, have that type of mind set, and also just being deliberate in general with how they're, a pillar of their own capital and yours.
That's a great, I totally agree. And Jamie, how do you think your medical background in the sales has helped you with? Does it help you raise capital?
I definitely didn't see myself transitioning into this. I've been in medical sales. I studied public health and marketing. I have worked within the medical field since I was 16 in some type of marketing sales position. And now I work in, pharmaceuticals, and it's basically talking to people all day, like that's what you do. Yes, you're selling an understanding of a medication, but you're also selling essentially yourself. You're connecting with humans. That's the biggest, no matter what you're talking about, any type of sales, if you know how to connect with someone, that goes farther than anything. And I think having so much practice doing that and being in so many different situations has been really helpful to apply to now doing real estate with, Nick, and just dealing with a lot of different owners from, before we even have gotten something under contract, reaching out, and I've done cold calling, and I have no fear there. I actually really enjoy it. I see it as a challenge. And then on the operating side, it's just, human connection, dealing with our property management, knowing how to navigate, when we're doing some CapEx projects and negotiating different contracts and just different, I think overall sales, no matter what your background, can be applied in real estate to help you on every facet, combined with Nick's, deliberate mindset of numbers and his kind of geeky way of knowing how to do all the things from a number standpoint.
That's true. They always say if you want to learn one skill in life, sales is the best one to learn, right?
Agree.
You can sell, you can pretty much do anything. Yeah. So now you guys just syndicated a deal in Texas, right? Recently. Maybe you can kind of go into the specifics of that and how that worked out and what you guys are doing.
Yeah. So we went from, the 24 unit, which was just our capital. And we really it was a very deliberate decision to not, do a syndication or take investors and have it just be our capital for the first one, because yes, Nick had, 20 years of experience.
But it was single family.
Yeah. So in single family.
It doesn't equate totally.
Yeah. But we didn't have experience in multifamily. And so taking this first project on, it was very intentional to just have it be our capital, because we expected there would probably be some fumbles, or there would probably be some learning curve things that, in taking on a syndication, you're, taking on a huge responsibility when you're accepting other people's capital. And for us, we wanted to make sure we had a few years under our belt and had a proven track record, which, after doing the refi, we do, which is great. And that kind of led us to then, explore more within this space. And, Mr. Numbers guy did all the underwriting and was like, okay, he's underwritten probably, 300 plus deals in the year and a half prior. And there just wasn't something. And then,
I think when you underwrite so much, when you see something, you kind of know. And we realize that, Texas is just, you follow the demographics, people are moving there. And then it made sense as far as the price, realized that it was a absent, owner that was ignoring it. It was distressed, needed a new roof, those type of things. So we're about 7 months into it. So it's been, I want to say it's more of a medium to heavy value add. And so it's kind of like, requires a lot more attention. So I am down there, once a month.
Yeah.
I've slept in a vacant unit, kind of check it out. And those all those things. So it's pretty much, you got to realize that you got to do what it takes to make this thing go. Because
it's true.
like I think about it as like from a pilot's perspective, excuse me, is that we're all in the same plane. We're going to the same place, but I'm driving it. So we all want to get to the destination.
Right.
So I look at it that way. It's like, hey, like I got to make sure this thing gets there, take off safely, because everyone's always happy about the closing, but we also got to land the plane.
Right. That's true.
And this one has been, a lot different of a purchase than our previous Ohio property. It's been, a lot more deferred maintenance, just with the added challenges of COVID and where we're at in Corpus. This property, it's like it was like one of the top 5 hotspots for, a year plus of active places of COVID. So I would say, the amount of people that worked on our property, 90% of them at some point would be like, cool. Oh, our crew has COVID. And so that, delayed things. And, but we've learned so much even in the last 7 months with this syndication. And it was a great opportunity for us to exercise, raising money in addition to running that, asset, which we had done, but we hadn't raised money before. And, we did raise way over what we had, needed to, which was great. I think a lot of people thought we were crazy a few years ago when Nick sold the house in San Diego and kind of was like, okay, we'll just sit on the sidelines and see how this plays out for you guys. And then, when you refi out, more than $500,000, people are all of a sudden very interested in getting involved and want to be a part of it.
With you guys, right?
Yeah, exactly. And get on the team.
Yeah, it's like the whole saying, it took me 10 years to be an overnight success,
Right, exactly. Yep.
Yeah. So I think, the syndication came more naturally in the sense that we had so many friends and family and colleagues and doctors I work with and just people asking, well, how's that property going you guys bought and what's going on there? And, again, people who had a similar mindset to me of just, you buy your house and you work your job and you have your 401k and that's that. But, if you look at people that have created long-term wealth, that's typically not what they're doing. They're typically entrepreneurs and they're in some type of real estate. Right. So I think people are becoming more open and interested in that. And especially when you have friends or family that are doing it successfully, like we, showed. So that's kind of how the syndication naturally kind of came to be.
Especially when you do that refinance and you tell them it's tax-free. They probably were shocked to hear that.
Well, they technically tax deferred, technically, but it's free isn't the best way to describe it,
Yeah, true. So what kind of loan terms did you guys get? Was it a community bank or was it different than the...
bridge debt. So bridge loan, which is usually a higher rate. So we also had them pay for all our CapEx or pretty much our improvements and whatnot. So need a lot of work. So we got a bridge debt, mid 6s rate, interest only. So that's kind of what the going rate was now. I think it's even worse now, about a year late or 8 months later.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Now, what do you guys have learned from these 2 deals? I guess what was your worst moment, either putting the deal together or maybe in something with asset management that you can share for the audience?
Oh, worst moment, huh?
I think there hasn't been one big moment. I think it's more, we have such pressure to make sure it succeeds from a syndication, from the syndication more so than just the first one, because we, these are friends, family, colleagues.
Also, we are the largest investor too.
Yeah, we always invest in whatever we buy, including the syndications, whether we're running them or not. But we are running this one, and we did put in, a large amount of our own capital. So I would say it's not one thing. It's more just making sure that, we're doing everything in our power to make sure that this asset succeeds and we produce the numbers that, we promised.
Yeah, that makes sense. So now looking back, say, Jamie, if you go back to your 18-year-old self, right, knowing what Nick kind of showed you, would you do anything different, or would you, keep the same path?
Heck yes. That 401k match that, my first company promised outside of college that I was so excited about. I guess at 18, I was still in college, but yeah, at 18, honestly, I would have I would have gone and worked for a big syndicator and like learned everything I could learn and said whatever to college, probably. I don't know. College is great for a lot of things, but it doesn't teach you how to do this. And
exactly.
I would say I'd do that, and I'd probably buy up all the property I could at 18. And
How about you, Nick?
I think at 18, I would say get a high paying job and pretty much use that money to get into real estate. I think if I can fast forward 10 years to more towards 28, I probably would have left my military career way earlier and done this, because eventually with the military, we all retire, everyone has to move on, but the retirement in the military is nowhere near what you get when you're working full time. So it is in a sense a false retirement. So I think it's almost being set up, a decade prior than, now I'm at, my 40s getting this, getting really into it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Now also with your military background, I know you're up early, pretty much every day. What kind of habits do you think they help you become successful? You're up 4:30, I believe, in the morning, right?
Yeah, you called me, I think at 5 o'clock my time. So I get up every weekday. I meet with a group of other entrepreneurs, not real estate related, and we go over like goal setting. We have accountability. It's an accountability group. Okay. So you go over that, and you pretty much say where you track day prior, the week prior, month prior, and it's just a good way to keep you like accountability. So I really love it. I've been doing it for it'll be almost 2 years soon. So I'm a morning person now. I only need an alarm clock. I wake up.
Yeah, just wake right up. Cool. How about you, Jamie? Any habits that you
I'm definitely an early riser, not quite 4:30 in the morning like Nick. I'm more like 5:30, 5:45. And the first thing I do when I wake up is drink water and work out. And that's how I start my day.
I drink a bottle of water every time as soon as I wake up. It does help.
Yeah, it's so good for you.
Yeah. So I have one more question for you guys, and we'll get into our 5 to Thrive.
Awesome.
So for each of you, if you could step in my shoes for the interview, what's one question you would ask yourselves that I didn't ask you?
I'd say, well, what happens after closing?
That's when the fun begins, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's when pretty much you get on that. You don't know what that horse is going to do till you ride it. So the fucking Bronco could be anything. So everyone's at the closing table, high fives, posts on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, everywhere. And the real work starts, that day one is when business plan implemented. That's the work. It's all the back of the house stuff. Like there are so many things besides the raising money and closing that you have to do to run this.
There's so many unsexy parts of it, is I think what he's really alluding to too. Like it's so cool to say you closed on, now we have 100 plus units. Great. But how do you make sure those units succeed and you execute that business plan? You sold yourself and you sold everyone else on this plan. Now you have to execute it. And that looks like weekly calls with property management, daily calls in the beginning, calls that you have to rotor out the whole sewer line and it's going to cost you 20 grand and, whatever. There's so many things that are not sexy and time consuming and what you didn't expect. That's where the real work is.
Absolutely. The asset management makes or breaks the deal. That's for sure.
It really does. Yes.
Now, if people want to get in contact with you, what's the best way for them to get a hold of you guys?
I'd say pretty much I give my phone number.
Yeah,
so 619-990-8848. And I say email, but also just send me a text or a phone call. That's the best way.
Yep. And then we do have social media. We could probably be more active on it, but it's HudsonBlueMF on Instagram. And then we have our website, which is HudsonBlueMF.com.
Awesome.
Stands for multifamily, if you're wondering. But yeah, so I would say reach out by that. And we always love, so many people have helped us along the way, whether it be a phone call or, even just an exchange on email when we first started in this. And we love reaching, when people reach out and we can add any value to anything they're doing on their path.
Awesome. Yeah, it'd be a great resource. I know you guys are both very helpful with everybody. So I encourage everyone to reach out. Now we'll go to our 5 to Thrive, which is the rapid fire, just 5 words or phrases I'm going to list off. And I think, Jamie, we picked you to go first, right?
Oh.
Ladies first.
Ladies first. So I'll ask you, and then Nick, you can answer afterwards. The only thing is, you guys cannot repeat your answers.
Ooh,
Oh, man.
okay.
Questions. All right.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Here we go. So the first one is passive income.
So I say whatever word comes first?
Yeah, just like a word association, whatever pops into your mind off that word.
Okay, I get it now. Okay. Passive income, freedom.
Mm-hmm. Nick?
That was mine. So I would say lifestyle, which is kind of close to Jamie's.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Building wealth.
What we're doing.
Real estate.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Discipline.
Waking up early.
Doing what we need to do, not what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, that's good.
That's a good one. Asset management.
A lot of work.
I would say the same, but I'd say the most important part
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think so.
agree.
of the
The whole deal. Yeah.
Yeah. And then your individual idea of financial freedom, what that means to you.
Not having to check the boxes and doing things every day that matter. Not that, with most W-2s, you're doing things you have to, not things you want to, or that move the needle forward.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I think financial freedom would be options and same regards choice. So I think that in this day and age, if you work for someone, you have to do what they want all the time. Whereas I work for myself, we can not saying we do what we want, but overall, if you have that choice, that you have those options. I think that's something that people don't get. What do you receive in return for that paycheck? Do you have a choice? And I think that's something people really got to evaluate is like, you're not really free if you work for someone else the rest of your life.
Yeah, exactly. Control your own time. Basically.
I don't think any of our answers were one word.
No, that's good. They were good answers. So, well, guys, this has been a great interview, and I really appreciate you taking the time to come on.
Oh, we are so grateful for you and
Andy,
the community you've built and everything you do. We're super inspired by. So we're so grateful to be a part of your next venture.
I'm hoping you guys are going to be down here in Florida soon enough. I can't wait.
That's the plan.
Yeah, we'll see, man. Soon.
Mm-hmm.
That's the plan. Got to get out of California. These taxes are killing us.
Exactly. All right, guys. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Thanks, Andy.